everybody, welcome to the Act Out. From open mic to the big stage, comedians tell us how stories were made. My name is Duck. Today we have a very special guest. This guy has been performing all over DFW and around the country, correct?
Yeah, I travel back and forth between here and New York. Sometimes I'm in Georgia, Atlanta.
The first time I saw you, I was like, this guy's a superstar. Like, he kills it on stage. Like, this was probably 2 years ago when I saw you. And I watched your set from last night, too, and you've gotten even better. You know what I mean? You're killing it. Hilarious jokes, just gonna make you laugh hysterically. You can check out his clips online. We are here today with Peng Dang. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, dude. This is gonna be fun. So how long have you been in the game? How long have you been doing stand-up?
It's my 7th year now. Yeah, 7 years.
7 years. So yeah. We'll get into how you kind of started here in a minute. But I want to talk about, you're from China.
Yes, born and raised.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So what was it like living in China and growing up?
I was born in the northwest part of the China, and it's like a border town. We're border with Tajikistan, Afghanistan. It's like super far west. Yeah, so I have my childhood is a little bit different from like a typical Chinese kid's childhood. Mm-hmm. We were like really country, like rural area. Mm-hmm. Our school bus was a literal wagon. It was a wagon. It was a horse and a wagon. Yeah, so I had that. But then my family moved to the south, so it was a little bit better. Yeah. I grew up in China, and I was there till I was 25. I came here when I was 25.
Right on. So were you the funny kid growing up? Did you make all the jokes, crack everyone up, or were you shy, or what were you like?
I was a really good listener. I have good memories. I was always the quiet one, observing everybody. Like super early on, I was able to talk like not even 1 year old. I was able to like speak, and before I can read, my grandparents would like read stories to me, and I would memorize those stories and like tell other kids as I was like holding the book, but I can't read anything yet. and people are like, oh my God, this kid already can read. They're like, no, he cannot read. He just remembers. He just memorized everything, and he tells it like exactly how it is. Yeah. I've always had like amazing memory.
So you were kind of performing at a young age, too, by being in front of the group of kids and retelling the story.
Yeah, I was the storyteller.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So where did comedy come into the mix? Did you see something? Was there a stand-up special? How did that happen?
I think the first stand-up comedians I watched were... Well, I was in college. I was in Alabama. I had an American roommate. He showed me Russell Peters. He showed me George Carlin. Cat Williams. My favorite person to watch at the time was Eddie Griffin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's an amazing storyteller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He was hilarious.
Yeah. As a comedian, he's absolutely amazing.
He's a natural. Mm-hmm. I heard stories about him. Like the first time he ever performed stand-up, it was at an open mic. I think he was supposed to do 5 minutes, but he was killing it. He was telling jokes for like straight up 20 minutes, and nobody cut him off because he was like killing it.
And that's why he does 5-hour shows now. As a server previously, you're like, dude, get off the stage. But the audience loves him, so it's whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's our job.
That's crazy.
Your American roommate started showing you these comedians and everything. So where did you get the spark to decide that you wanted to try it for the first time?
I watched this comedian at the time. His name is Joe Wong. Most Americans don't know him, but he is like this PhD guy. He's like a PhD. Like he went to school in Houston in Rice University, but he started stand up. He was doing like Letterman. He was on Letterman 4 times.
Oh wow!
And he was on he'd been on like all kinds of late night shows, and he was on the White House correspondent, the C-SPAN correspondent, roasting Joe Biden who was the vice president at the time. And that clip went super viral in China, and everybody knew who he was. He's one of my early inspirations, and I'm friends with the guy now. He was in here recently. We performed together. Yeah, he's the one. I mean, I watched the comedians before. It was like, okay, this is funny. I enjoy watching it, but I don't think I can ever do it. But after watching him, it was like, oh, maybe I can do this, because he has a very thick accent, and and he's super funny. Yeah, I'm like, okay, maybe there's a possibility. Yeah.
So is China comedy, stand-up comedy big, or is it a thing at all?
Yeah, it's a new thing, but it's very popular. It's a big market, believe it or not. Like we have our version of Last Comic Standing, and there's a big market. There's more demands than there are comedians. There's more stage times than there are comedians, and there's big money. And people love comedy. Chinese people, they don't drink. It's weird. Like they go to theater and watch big theater shows. You do big theater shows, and people just stay there and they just sit there and watch. They don't even drink, but they pay full attention. We're good listeners.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Have you ever went back and done any stand up there?
No, I haven't. I've gotten invites though. I've gotten invites to their competitions, but it was during the pandemic. I couldn't leave.
Yeah. Have you tried? In what is the language? Chinese? What would it be?
Yeah, I've tried stand up in Mandarin.
In Mandarin, yeah.
But there's shows like that in New York. I've done that in New York.
Yeah. Does it translate? Because I've talked to comedians who do comedy in English and Spanish, and they say it's two different things. Like their timing, the way they speak, it's just a completely different thing. So did it translate for you?
Well, it did the first time, and I tried it a couple more times. It just didn't work. I feel like the timing was off. The way you construct jokes is just different because of the language. Like grammar wise, certain jokes with English you can put it backwards, and you can put your punch word to the end, and it just doesn't work with the Chinese language. You have to figure it out. It takes time. I think it'll still work. You just have to do it more.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was it like that first time you decided to go to an open mic? Were you nervous? Were you scared? Did you have to get drunk?
No, I was super nervous. I did it in Atlanta. That's where I started. Signed up for the open mic, and it was 5 minutes set. And I was rehearsing it over and over. I remember just talking to the phone and recording myself and listen to it. I did it probably at least 200 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I had the same experience, but I did not do it 200 times. I was at 20, I was I think I got it. And then it was the most nerve-wracking thing to get on stage the first time. So you're in Atlanta. You decided to get on stage. Did you crush it the first time, or did it go badly?
I did pretty well. I did actually pretty well. It's also because I had my coworkers in the audience. Yeah, they were supportive. But it was a terrible set, though. Now I can't even watch it.
It's hard to go back. You're just ooh, this is not good.
Yeah.
You get on stage. You did well. Did you catch the bug at that point where you're I'm going to keep going up? Was it constant thing, or did you take a break?
So here's the thing about Atlanta. Well, I also wasn't very active at the time. I tried to sign up for the Laughing Skull, open mic. They have open mics Monday through, I believe it's a Monday through Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
And every night they sell tickets and it's sold out. They're open mics. Awesome. People buy tickets to watch open mics. It's crazy. And it's super hard to get on the list. They put you out once in a month. So I did maybe 10 open mics in my first year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Only 10. Wow.
Only 10. Yeah.
So how long was it before you got to host? Was it a little bit longer than a couple of years then?
It didn't happen until I moved to Dallas. Mm-hmm. So first year I did in Atlanta, and I moved to Dallas.
So the second year, then you started crushing it, started going out a lot more.
Yeah.
So where did you host the first time?
I think maybe Hyenas.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how'd it go?
It went okay. It went pretty well actually. Yeah.
Were you excited before it, or do you get nervous before you go on stage?
At the time, I was already like 2 years in. I wasn't like super nervous.
Yeah, some people say they still get nervous, and I'm kind of like you. I get excited before I go up. Because you never know what's going to happen. You know. Do you deal with hecklers well whenever they come at you?
It's weird. I don't get hecklers a lot. I generally get a nice audience.
Yeah.
I generally get a nice audience.
Yeah. I love the heckler because it makes it exciting. It's just like, oh my God, we're going to go down this route now. Okay, let's see where this leads. So the first time I got heckled, though, man, it threw me off. Like, I couldn't even think the rest of my set. I was like, oh my God, what do I say now? And the person, all they said was chicken. And I was like, chicken? Oh, no. So, it was terrible. So you hosted at Hyenas. You've headlined here, right?
Yes.
So when was the first time you headlined? Was it here or somewhere else?
It's probably here at the Improv, the M-Friend show,
Yeah. So what was that like? What was that experience of being like doing 20 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever they give you at that point? I think they give you 20, right? Yeah.
Right, here at the M-Friend show is 20. At the time, I already have the material, so it wasn't that bad. I was more nervous about, getting people to come to the show.
Oh, yeah. That's huge. And it's not easy.
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
You're like, are you going to come to the show? Yeah. And they don't show up. You're like, oh, geez, what happened?
Yeah, especially for me, I didn't grow up here. I don't have families or friends here. And I'm not famous enough to have, fans. Yeah. It's hard to get people to come to the show.
What is the weirdest experience you've ever had at a comedy club? What is the thing that happened on stage that you were like, oh my God?
Oh, first showcase here
Mm-hmm.
on this stage. First showcase at the Improv. It was a big deal for me, and I blanked out on stage. But I did my first bit. It was great, and I was in my head about it. I'm like, what am I gonna say next? What am I gonna say next? And I just couldn't think of anything. And if for like 10 to 15 seconds, I felt like eternity on stage, and it hurt me so much. That feeling just haunted me for like the longest time. Yeah.
That's scary. So how did you get through the set? Did you just, because you knew it so well, you just kept talking through it?
It came back to me. I'm like, okay, I got this now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so scary, though.
It is so scary.
I would be terrified. I don't know what I would do if that was... I mean, I've been on stage before at an open mic, because I mostly do open mics, and like I said, I got thrown off by the heckler, but to lose it all in that moment, that is terrifying.
Yeah, people don't know, performing on this stage, because this stage is really high, and you're looking down to the audience, and the lights are bright. Everything makes you nervous. It's different from any other stages in DFW, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just super legit. It's just it's prestigious.
Yeah, and the ceiling is low. And It's kind of claustrophobic. Yeah. It's a great room, but it's I could see that happening. Where you're just like, oh my God.
It's so bright, I have nowhere to hide. This is a wall, I can't.
I gotta go. I'll see you guys. Enjoy the end, friends.
I should have said that. I should have just leave.
So what is your writing process like?
I start with something that bothers me. If something bothers me, I'm like, yeah, there's something to it. I pick up little things. Like the other time I was, smoking a cigarette, and I was with other comedians, and this homeless guy, he asked me for money, and I gave him $1, and then he took the $1. He goes, hey, can I buy a cigarette from you? I'm like, holy shit, you're buying a cigarette from me with my own money? Like that. And the other guys, they didn't think much of it. And to me, it's that bothers me. That had to be. So I had to it took me a while, but I had to turn it into a joke. Yeah, it's always something that bothers me.
And you took Dean Lewis's class, is that right?
Yeah. After I bombed on stage here, I'm like, I gotta do something. That's when I took the class, and that was amazing class. My second year, that was the most creative year in my career so far. Like I've written so many bits. I've gotten so much better like within that year.
And he talks about the UGG moments, where you just said, like, when things bother you, you have to grasp onto that and write it down and go, we're going to go back to this and find out, because that's where the comedy comes from. That's how it connects to people, because we're all bothered by little things. We just let them go, for the most part. And those, and those, like, we get the, like, the guy with the cigarette, that's like not huge, but it's, that little bump where you go, oh, geez, that's interesting. So, yeah, it's so much fun. You also write in a writing group, don't you?
Yeah.
So what is that like, writing in a group?
It can be productive, but it also can very easily turn into like shit talking, gossiping. But yeah, we try to be productive. It's like when you decided to write, you everyone has something prepared. Let's pitch. Let's pitch. We have to stay on the subject. And yeah, it's really good because you gotta have friends, you gotta have comedian friends that are honest and that are like kind of on your same level with you, and they also have like different perspectives, different life experiences, and they see things from different angles, different perspectives. They can't write jokes for you, but they can give you a fresh perspective. Like, oh, I never thought about that. Like, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, me and Arun, we're like really good at writing for each other,
right?
Because we know each other's voices.
How long did it take you to find your voice in comedy? That's something I struggle with. I'm always curious about. So, when did it come into like that second year? You're just like, oh, this is who I'm going to be.
I mean, I'm still in that process of finding my voice. I think it takes forever. I think it's an ongoing process for every comedian or any comedian.
Well, just watching you in the last 2 years, something that I noticed you do is you actually laugh and enjoy the set. Like before, you would enjoy the set, right? And you killed it. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was like, he's always killing it. But then I watched your set from last night, and like something you were doing, you were laughing with the audience, like you were having a good time, and it just made it seem so much more personable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I didn't do that intentionally. Maybe it's just because I've gotten more comfortable on stage.
Right.
The style also changed. I used to be more stoic. Like you guys laugh, I'm gonna keep a straight face.
Yeah.
I think Dean has this theory, like when you are talking about something serious, be silly about it. And if you're talking about something trivial, like not as serious, but be serious about it. That's also the incongruity is always funny.
Yeah, I never even thought about that in the performance. You can do an incongruity and have those opposites. That's so cool. Like that just makes sense. But like I enjoyed the set that I like. I've always enjoyed your sets. Like I think you're hysterical. But that set that I watched from last night, I was like, wow, he's really like into telling these jokes. He's interacting with the audience through his personality. It was amazing. So I think it's great that you changed it up. Now it was a lot of fun. So you're killing it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Last night it was. I think the last bit was kind of serious. So I had to be silly about it. Yeah. I don't want people to feel bad for me. But then when I talk about something not as serious, when I was talking about the potluck, that's not serious, but I was like super passionate about it. So there's a bit of contrast.
Yeah, I think it works great. And that's a great joke. You can actually go online and watch that. The clip's online about the potluck, so that's awesome. Do you ever get starstruck? Have you ever met somebody and you're just like, oh, geez, like, I can't believe I'm in their presence?
Oh, yeah. I did a show in New York a couple months ago, and Chris Rock dropped in.
Whoa!
Yeah. He went up after me. Yeah, we were just sitting there, and he just like walked in. I'm like, oh my god, Chris Rock, and he just like sat down with us. It's like, are these the very young, very good comedians? And he just like sat down with his headphone. He puts his headphone down and he started talking to us.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
What was
that's
that
cool.
like?
It felt unreal. It felt unreal. And we didn't even talk comedy that much. I think he was just talking about like Tiger Woods and NBA.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you got on stage, you did, your time, and then you got to bring him on stage after that?
No. There's hosts in between.
Okay.
There's hosts in between. But yeah, everyone got to do less time. So yeah, we were supposed to do 15. I did 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody did less time because Chris Rock wants to work out his Netflix special, which is already out now. But
Right.
at the time, he was working out
Yeah.
his materials.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. So that was in New York, you said?
Yeah, that was in New York.
How often do you go there?
I go there every month now. Yeah, I spend like a couple weeks there, a couple weeks here.
Right. So does your job allow for that then?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So, I would love that. I would love to be able to travel up there. And do you have any advice for comedians who are just starting out? People who just like me, like I'm like a year and a half or 2 years in. Like, I'm not good. So, if you have any advice that would like help out, like what would you tell somebody who's just beginning?
I would say just have fun because my first year I wasn't very serious about it. I didn't have any expectation about how this is gonna go. Well, just have fun, and also don't try to write as many materials as you can. Don't try to do new jokes every time you go up on stage, because you're gonna ruin those jokes.
Yeah.
That's like the beginner's mistake everybody makes. It's like you're trying. Oh, what if I go to an open mic and same people see me do the same joke? They're gonna judge me. They're gonna think I'm not good. No, don't ever. Nobody's gonna remember. First of all, nobody's gonna remember you, and you're never gonna get the same audience. Yeah, and just work on your first 5 minutes and get it as solid as you can. Work on the next 5. Don't try to rush because you don't know what you're doing yet. You don't have the skills to turn good bits into good materials. I would say just work on your first 5, first 10.
And that's the one thing that always bothers me is because do you hate your material after a while? Or do you continue to love it?
Some jokes I still like them, but I feel like I'm not as passionate about them, so I don't do it. If I do it on stage, it would be like reciting it. It's not performing. It's not. I don't have any passion behind it, so I just stopped doing it. And like certain earlier jokes, I feel like now I have better skills. I can revisit. There's some good bits that I did in my first year, but it was too ambitious. I couldn't do it at the time, but now I'm revisiting them. I'm like, oh, there's something in there.
Oh, cool. So you're actually going back to them and like, how are you working that out? Are you working with Arun to kind of work it out, or like, how do you kind of make that happen?
It took some time. I just brought it up on stage, and like time after time, I started like editing and start rewriting. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, there's something to that. I've never even thought about doing that. Because like I look at my first set and I'm just like, I hate it. I don't want to repeat it ever again. It's just too much.
No, don't let go. I don't easily let go of my jokes, even if it just bombs the first couple times I said it. Like I would keep doing it. I would try to figure it out.
Yeah,
that's the fun part, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't bail. Don't bail on your own jokes. If you think it's funny, there's definitely a chance other people are gonna find it funny.
Within comedy, doing this for a while, like going to the open mics and making friends and stuff like that. Because you said you don't have a lot of friends here, but you do have a lot of comedian friends here.
Yeah.
So, like, was there any crazy experience that you had at those times?
Yeah, there's quite a bit, yeah. Just terrible experiences. like I've done this corporate show once. Mm-hmm. They paid good money, but it was it was broad daylight at a hotel convention center, and I had to follow the guy that just did like boring PPT presentation. It's like their sales executive or something like that, and I had to tell like 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Clean jokes, and I was doing well. I first started like roasting everyone. They gave me some names. I started like roasting them, and then I go into my material. Most of my jokes are clean. I was doing like clean jokes. It was doing really well, and this guy in the audience who looked like he was the boss, and he's like, "Yeah, you can go dirty." I'm like, "For real?"
Just go for it.
Yeah, like he called it. I'm like, okay, which is a beginner mistake. Like if you do corporate shows, you always do clean. Even if they ask you to do dirty, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't, because like you have to put it on. Unless you put it on the contract, I'm not gonna do it. You know, like. I learned that the hard way. I started doing like dirty jokes. I don't even have that many dirty jokes. I started doing like dirty jokes, and the HR lady like cut me off, and she's like, "Can we bring it down a notch?"
Wow.
and that just kills the mood, right? Like everybody started like feeling self-conscious. Oh, are we having too much fun now? And then I just made a dumb decision to like go into racial jokes, and and that didn't work. That was a terrible mistake. But I also I made it even worse. After that joke, I made a comment too. I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That joke usually kills at a club." But it just sucks that you guys don't hire any black people.
Oh my god!
And you looked at the audience, like it's like there's no black. They didn't hire no black people.
Oh my god! How did they react to that?
Well, I think the younger guys, they want to laugh. They just cover their mouths. They're just like laughing, and the HR lady was like pissed off.
Yeah,
because I'm calling her out.
Yeah,
and she had to, after the show, she had to like send out emails to like to everyone, send out a mass email to everyone to apologize for the comedian's insensitive comment.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
but like you said, it's a learning experience. You learn to stay clean. So
right, yeah.
That was a great story, by the way. Thank you so much. So is that something that you were interested in doing, as being a storyteller? Because as a comedian, you do a lot of story jokes. Yeah, long form. Is that something that, since you were a child doing that, repeating the stories, to your friends, and now, is that kind of like the comedy you want to do, or do you kind of mix it up?
I wouldn't put myself in the category storyteller. Like I do stories, but I'm still not good at like telling long stories, because I get self-conscious if I don't hear any laughs in like within a minute. I'm like, holy shit, I'm doing what am I doing? I'm bombing. I can't. Yeah, that's still there's a few like long stories that I had yet to bring up on stage. I just gotta get comfortable where I'm like comfortable telling those jokes.
That's so shocking you say that, because I watch it and I'm like, wow, he's so good at telling stories. Like it's like the one that we were talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that, I love hearing your perspective on that. And so it just cracked me up. And like that twist that you had at the end, dude, so good. And I'm intrigued by what you're saying about like being Asian and the hate that comes towards you. How do you deal with that? Do you turn that into comedy then, and then try to work through it, or like? Because I don't have that experience, so I'm curious to what it's like.
Personally, I don't experience that much, but it's funny whenever I'm like hanging out with Arun, just me and him. like some weird stuff always happens, man. Like something about this combination, this Harold and Kumar combination, it makes people curious. Like it brings the worst out of some people. Like like we were at this dive bar out of nowhere, like just me and him. I already told him, dude, it's gonna be this is a bad decision. We're not. He's like, dude, let's do it, man. Like, it's for the story.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Oh my god! And this guy, like, this truck driver guy, like, a drunk truck driver. Like started yelling. It wasn't towards me. He's like yelling at at a room. Oh, you from India? You just came to your country stealing. He really said that thing. Like you just came to your country stealing. At which point I'm like, are we being punked right now? Like you can't. Is this where's the camera? Like there's no way. I couldn't believe he was all serious. Like I mean, like, there's no way a person can be this racist.
Yeah,
like just out.
Yeah, absolutely insane. So what ended up happening? Did they get into a fight or anything, or did you guys?
He was like pushing.
What?
He was pushing, and then there's a white lady that got in between them and like broke up the fight.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
that is insane. Yeah, well, that's the one thing though, is you stand up for what you believe. You know what I mean? When it comes to that, so racism sucks. And it really is in this country. We deal with it.
And it's stupid because, like, in my head, I was like, yo, what? You are a truck driver. Like, my friend works in IT. How is he? You know, for him to steal your job, you gotta at least have like a Bachelor of Science degree. You know? Like, you're not qualified to be this racist yet. Like, you don't meet the minimum requirement. It's ridiculous, right?
Oh my God. Like, racism in this country, like, how do we deal with it? How do we make it better? I think the way we do it is by seeing perspectives. That's why I love comedy. Like, because you can talk about your experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can educate. Like, a lot of people, for whatever reason, that is the opening door. That's why I love Dave Chappelle, and I love his special, The Closer, because I date trans women. I love trans women, right? Oh. So, with that said, though, everyone who was trans was super against that special, right? But if you watch the special, it's a love letter to his friend who was trans. You know what I mean? Oh. He makes a lot of jokes. And I was talking with somebody last night about it who was trans. And she was saying that, like she loved the special. She thought it was great.
Oh, wow.
And what I believe is with comedy, we can open doors to new perspectives. I think Dave Chappelle did the right thing because he took trans, he threw it up there and he said, I don't understand it, but I want to understand it. You know what I mean? So that's through experience, change our hearts and minds. And I think that's something that you can do too with your comedy, is you can bring a perspective that people have never experienced.
Yeah, I hope. Yes, I mean that's not my entire goal. My first goal would be making people laugh. But yeah, I hope through this people can understand. It helps humanize us as a group, because I think humor, having a sense of humor is such a privilege in this country. Because of the language barrier, people think, Asian people are very serious. All these immigrants are very serious. They don't ever tell jokes. No, we tell jokes with each other. We just don't. It's a language barrier. We have to like translate. It always frustrates me, like whenever I'm in a group, like people are talking with coworkers and stuff, and they always crack jokes, and I always think about something in my head, and I had to translate it, and by the time I want to say something, they already moved on to the next subject. I'm like, I have something to say too. I'm funny too, like. Yeah, I think having a sense of humor is a privilege, because you go like in any workspace. The new interns, you pay attention, like the new interns, the new hires, they never tell jokes. It's always the people that are there for like a long time.
Right.
They start telling jokes. It shows that they're comfortable and they are, they own the place. They, like I feel like with us immigrants, we do need a little bit of that. At least we need to like tell people like we have sense of humor too. We understand jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think in Mandarin then, and then translate to English? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
How many languages do you know?
In back home, Mandarin is the official language. But not everybody speaks Mandarin. There's thousands of different dialects. My mom speaks a different dialect. I speak in my mom's dialect. I can speak my grandpa's dialect. So at least 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When
And
did you
then
start
English.
learning English?
Starting when I was like sixth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, elementary school.
So they taught that in school?
Yeah, they taught that in school, but we were taught like almost British English. Yeah, it's not the same.
Not at all.
No, yeah, like they say, it was lift instead of elevator.
Mm-hmm.
It was biscuit instead of cookie.
Yeah.
And there's we don't say cashier. We say shopkeeper. Shopkeeper.
So you just continued to learn it then, and by the time you got here, you were just good to go, or did it continue to learn after that?
Yeah, it's still a learning process. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I would love to speak a second language. Oh, my God. I've tried before. I've tried to learn ASL. I've tried to learn French. It doesn't stick. You know what I mean? So I just speak bad English. That's what it is.
Yeah, they say speaking a second language is like having a second soul.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, right. Because it really is like trying to live other people's life. Yeah, you can't learn the language without learning their culture.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. Like we were just talking about, you can teach that through your comedy. You know, like you can show that side of it. And that's powerful to have that ability to speak that. You know, in some ways, comedians are philosophers, you know, a lot of times because deep thinking and like trying to figure out how to, and they're also magicians to me in a lot of ways because magic is just the use of words in a way that hypnotizes the audience. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, and so I love that. I love the idea that we can use words to sway the audience towards us, to win them back, you know, to shock them if we need to. We have all these abilities to do that through performance, like you said, too.
Yeah, because what is magic other than, hey, look over here, and everybody's attention's here, and all of a sudden you're doing something here, and you're like, ta-da!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. Because whenever you learn, like Dean Lewis's class is really good about breaking down everything, right?
Did you take his class?
Yeah, oh yeah. I love Dean.
So good,
Yeah,
so good.
I love Dean. He's awesome. And so being able to see behind the curtain and kind of see how the joke is constructed, you appreciate it even more whenever you do comedy and somebody gets you with that twist. My last question is, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where is your life going at this point with comedy?
I just want to get to a point where I can sell tickets. You know, I'm not super ambitious. You know, if I can just do this for a living and just, you know, travel the country performing, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also if it doesn't happen, I'm cool with it too. I think I just enjoy the process. I just enjoy, you know, creating new stuff. Yeah.
That's the podcast, Peng. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Everyone out there, please support Peng. Go to his social media, give him a follow, check out his videos on YouTube. Peng Dang Comedy. Go check it out online. Other than that, thank you again. I appreciate it. And with that said, support local comedy in any way, shape, or form that you can. We will see you on the next one.
Awesome.
All right.